Hey there, everyone. Mazarok here, and today I want to talk about it's a state of the game video, but it's a player-based, community-based problem that I want to talk about, and that is BiS gear culture. So in this video, I want to go over what I mean, and I'm going to be making a lot of points. So right after I do the little housekeeping, there's going to be some things I want to talk about and clear out first before we get into like the meat of the issue. So just before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe. Flabbergasted by all of the support you, the community, have given me, and I'm just astounded every day. Thank you so much. There is a Twitch link down below and a community Discord link down below. If you'd like to, keep the conversation going, ask me questions, anything, I'm readily available through those two means pretty much all of the time. So come on by, give me a shout, say hi. Love to hear from you guys as well. If there's any weak auras or LVY profiles that you see on screen that you'd like, they're pretty much always in my the community Discord as well, available for free for download. So if there's something you want, you can ask what it is, and then I can pinpoint you exactly to the right name and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so here we go. So I didn't really know what to name this video, so I just called it BiS gearing culture. That's kind of just what I went with. So what is it? So gearing, the process of gearing, I'm going to break this down right from the start, is you go and you farm out gear and raid, PvP, Mythic Plus, whatever your preferred method of playing this game is, and you try and get the best gear available to you. That is RNG based. You're not always going to get your best piece on your first run. Ask anyone who's tried to farm a scale out of the other side. My co-tank last season in the guild that I was in had 115 runs before, I think. 115? She got her blood scale on 117th run of Season 2. Had never seen one in Season 1. Bad luck. That's RNG. It's RNG, baby. Does that make her a bad tank? Absolutely fuck not. She was one of the best tanks I've ever tanked with. Plain and simple. So this idea that to play your best or to be the best for the content you're running, and this is the little caveat here, for the content you're running, you need to be in fully BiS'd out gear. Absolutely not true. That's gotta go. The skill gap in this game has increased widely and is the largest it's ever been since ever, right? When we started gearing, when we started this process of trying to get all our best stuff, we had a normal raid in vanilla and some dungeons. And then we got heroic raids and heroic dungeons. And then we got mythic raid. And then challenge mode, I think it was challenge mode dungeons, then mythic raid. The order's not the point, but we got those. And then we got Mythic Plus. On top of that, PvP was pretty much always an option for gear. And as this game has added complexity to it, through raiding, PvP, Mythic Plus, and adding more talents and all of this fun stuff, the ideology has stayed the same. To be good, you need this. And that is just not true, because there are people timing 30 keys now that was crazy. Timing a 30 at the start of Shadowlands, what? And I'm pretty sure in BFA it was something of the same style of progression. And there are people in that go into 25s and like, this is a joke, and they go into 15s and they're like, how could anybody just not time this? Meanwhile, there are people that are trying to tank, and I'm going to relate this to tanking because it's what I know best, but this is fully applicable to any healer or any DPS. 100%, you can just switch the names out for spec or this or that and still relate to it just fine. But there are people, for every person that's timing 25, there's 2 or 3 people that are trying to tank their first 5, and on the inside, they're freaking the fuck out. Because they don't know what to do. They're wondering if they're good enough. Or if they can do this. Or, what and losing their mind, being a nervous wreck And sometimes it's because, well, I don't have a blood scale. I don't have a codex. I don't have this, so I can't be good. There are people that have been in my YouTube and Discord comments that have said that they farm out the other side as a DPS in loot spec to try and get a scale so they can tank. They have this belief that they can't tank if they don't have a blood scale. And this has happened with a couple other trinkets or whatever have you around. And that sort of mentality is super damaging to the game. Is insanely damaging to the game. And right now, like, so we go on Wowhead or, you know, Wowhead, Icy Veins, community discords, and are like, okay, so what's my BiS gear? Like, is this good? Is this not good? Whatever have you not. And the line between good and bad, so let's say you have the spectrum of good and bad, okay? The line has shifted to, these are good, all of these are bad. Instead of, these are bad, these are good, these are okay. It's like if you're not playing the 2 best trinkets in the game to play your most optimally, you're bad. You're not doing it right. Okay, but what's doing it right? Because to the person that's doing a plus 25 and finds 15s are a joke, there's a different person that's going to go into their first 15 and is losing their mind. Their hands are sweating. They've never done anything this difficult. And to them, this is a challenge and an achievement that's going to be had. And neither one of these playstyles or reasonings or mindset is wrong. Neither one. And I'm going to use Codex of the First technique because there's been a lot of talk around that trinket right now. And trinkets and weapons and things like that are the most unique. But I mean, this also applies to regular gear. But regular gear is more malleable because they're mainly just, you know, upgradable stat sticks. So that you can play around with to get your right stats. You know, unique effects are mainly trinkets or unique items or weapons and things like that, but I'll use trinkets. And if you look around the content now, a lot of the communities, if you're not running a plus 24, the trinket's fucking useless. It's so bad. Like, no, mathematically, you need to run a DPS trinket. Okay? But maybe that tank that's in the 15 feels more comfortable going in with a defensive trinket, like your blood scale and a codex, if you got lucky, and he has both. And the idea of reflecting, you know, 700k damage back at, you know, people and not taking it, makes that tank more comfortable and want to tank more than maybe doing a little bit more DPS. Are they wrong for that? Are they wrong for wanting to play double trinkets? On my Prot Warrior, I like playing Bloodscale and Pulsating Rift Shards, because the build that I'm running there is I am a wall of absorbs. I have absorbs going out all of the time. Is that the most optimal gearing way? No. Is it fun? Yes. Am I succeeding at my keys? Yes. As long as at the end of the day you're timing your keys, or you've learned to time your keys, because not every key is going to get timed, but there's nothing wrong with that. For example, I got KSM Season 1 on my Prot Warrior. I got it in a 16 DOS. And throughout all of the keys, throughout all of the runs, I had been insanely unlucky with trinket drops. And I mean insanely. But on that 16 DOS where I got KSM, my first blood spatter scale dropped. And I was ecstatic. And you don't want to know what trinket that replaced? It's the Stamina 9 Healing Global Trinket from Plaguefall. Yeah, that pile of dog water. And you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. It would heal me for quite a bit throughout a dungeon, which as a Prot Warrior, I didn't have any self-healing. So that was nice. It gave me more health, so it let me be a little bit more survivable. That was nice. Is it optimal gearing? No, it wasn't. Did it function? It absolutely did. And I'm not trying to say that every trinket in this game is fully usable. If you get a Blade Dancer's armor kit, I'm sorry. I just am. Don't use it. If you can try and avoid it. But if it's all you got, it's all you got. And work with what you got, man. Because you have to be able to be creative and be innovative and find the solutions and ways to increase your own potential and your own skill to play more optimally. Because playing optimally does not only mean having optimal gear, okay? It also means that you as a person need to have the skill required to be able to pull off whatever that optimal playstyle is. Whatever the best playstyle, whatever the one that's going to give you the most DPS and the most survivability, that's on you, the person. And guess what? Like I explained earlier, the skill gap in this game is crazy wide. It is no longer even close from the more bottom casual to the top end. Where before, you only had X amount of dungeons and raids to really improve yourself and practice with. And now that we have Mythic and infinitely scaling Mythic Plus, you have all of these things. And I'm not saying that skill gap is bad. I'm not. I'm asking us, the community, to note that it's there now. And it's wide. It's wider than it's ever been. So talent choices and trinket choices for a person that's progging a 28, a 30, is not going to be the same for a person that's tanking their first 5, and it might not be the same for a person tanking the first 15. Things change as things scale up. And I'm going to use the Blood DK talent Purgatory for this example. The last row on that talent row is Red Thirst, which reduces the cooldown of Vampiric Blood, Bone Storm, and Purgatory. Purgatory being a cheat death for those of you that don't know. Okay, well, I've seen tanks in plus 10s that are like, no, I need to run Purgatory because that's what all the top end players are running. Yeah, they're in a fucking plus 30. They might die at any goddamn moment. They need to run it. They might not. They might just do it for their skill level as a tank might be good enough where they're not worried about dying, actually, and they don't need to, but they use it as a safety precaution. See how I'm already talking about all of these skills, all these talents, and there's already different variations between when to use it. Like, for example, I can walk into a 20-22 as a tank, somewhere around there, and I still don't have Purgatory, depending on the affix system and what dungeon it is, because some of them I'm a little bit more wary about dying as a tank. But most of the time, I run Bone Storm. I find it to be more fun. It does more damage. It heals me. I have a fun time playing it because I'm not worried about dying. I know my skill. I know my playstyle. For example, the other night in a 20 DOS at 4%, I think it was, Hakar on Tyrannical wiped our party. I was still alive, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to have to give it a try. I'm like, no, I'm going to kill him. Like, I got this. Took me about 30-45 seconds. I got lucky, there was no blood barrage, and I just healed myself back up, killed him, we move forward with the party. I didn't need Purgatory. I know with where my skill level is, I'm comfortable. But somebody that's tanking their first 15 and their hands are nervous on their mouse and their keyboard, and they're like, oh my god, I've been that guy. We all need to remember, what everyone needs to know when they're going into their first 15 or whatever, and you're nervous about playing, everyone has been there. Okay? Everyone has been to the point where they're trying to do something for the first time, and they're trying to get better at it, and they're trying to, they might be nervous, they might be anxious, whatever it is. Everyone's been there. You might be too, and that's fine. With practice and time, you're going to get over it, but you should not have this idea in your head that because mathematically this defensive trinket doesn't do as much for you as a DPS trinket because of this and this and that, but it helps you live, wear it. Fuck what the others say. Emulating what the top percent does is a great way for you to get better. But you also need to understand why you're doing so. Why are they running the certain talents that they're running? Why are they running the trinkets that they're running? And they're playing the spec to the most capable it is possibly able to be played yet. Are you, in your first 5 or 10 or 15, doing that? I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Probably not. You're probably not playing your spec to its absolutely most optimal capabilities. So why do you need their most optimal gear for you to play what you want to play? At the end of the day, if you're tanking a dungeon and you want to succeed at it and you're worried about dying and you're still a little worried about rotation, play more defensive trinkets. If you going into a 15, you feel more comfortable with a Codex of the First Technique equipped than you do a File of Putrefaction, wear the Codex. Just because some other people say that, you know, it's absolutely wrong because a File does more damage until you get to a plus 23, and then... Dude, you're not in a plus 23. Okay? You're not worried about that. You're worried about living. You're worried about just trying to, you know, tank a dungeon, which in itself is not easy to do. No, if you're just learning how to DPS a dungeon, that's not easy to do. You need to learn to rotate kicks and stuns and be able to put out your damage rotation in an effective manner. Those aren't things that are easy to do. And sometimes having 2 on-use trinkets might be your BiS. But you're still learning your rotation and you just want 2 passive trinkets while you learn your rotation. There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. We need to remove this perspective that you have to play at and emulate this one top percent, or what the Sims say are the absolute best, just to be able to play this game or be good at this game. Are you playing at your most optimal and best? No. I know I'm not. I know me going into a plus 20 with a Codex is not being its most optimal. I know that. But do I feel more comfortable going in there knowing that I'm reflecting 10% back the damage back at the enemies? Yeah, I do. I like it. It's still a trinket that I like. You can't... And this is on the community content creators as well. So, when I started this channel, I started this channel for new to intermediate tanks to have content that I never had. That's literally why I went with WoW. I went with WoW. I love this game. I played it back in Cata for like a year and a half, 2 years. I played it a little bit back in BC, a tiny bit in Wrath. I took a break and I came back at the end of 8.3. And when I tried to tank at the end of 8.3, it was a goddamn nightmare for me. It was nightmare fuel. It came to a point where the toxicity was so hard that I couldn't even say, hey, I'm a new tank in a +3. Any help that you guys can give me would be appreciated. I couldn't even get that because I would get kicked from the fucking group and they'd find a new tank. I wouldn't even be able to run content. And then when I did, just like, all right, I'm just not going to tell them that I'm new. I don't want to get kicked. I would actually like to play this game. Sometimes things would go wrong. Sometimes things would go right. But sometimes things would go wrong and then they just boot me because I didn't do exactly what they wanted to. And some of them would see like, oh, you don't have this trinket, or you don't have this gear, or your haste isn't high enough or whatever, and they just boot me. I'm like, dude, I'm in a +3, man. Like, I'm learning. And we as content creators need to learn that the choices that people make in the highest end don't always apply to people in the more casual base or the low end, right? People in 5s might need different talent choices than people in +25s. People in 15s might require different talent choices than in +15s and things like that. For example, Purgatory, I'm going to go back to this one, is not a talent that I choose very often, but in Raid on Jailer, it's something I pick every single time, especially on Heroic, because he claps. He can just decide to hit you for 150k. This is something that we need to learn, that what optimal isn't what needs to happen all of the time. And it does not mean it's applicable for all content. It doesn't. Now, if you can learn to play, if that's the way you want to play, again, there is no wrong play style here, if that's what you want to do. But if you also, maybe as a tank, want to play more defensively, you know, hey, I want to just make sure that no matter what, I can live. It might be overkill, but I want to make sure that I'll live. Play those defensive trinkets. Pick the more defensive talents that don't eke out more DPS. If it helps you live and it helps you play better, it's the right choice. And so what I'm going to be going forward as a content creator, and again, my channel is more geared towards new to intermediate, right? I think being an intermediate tank, I have to kind of set the goals here. Being an intermediate tank, you can tank 15s. An advanced tank, you're tanking 20s. And a pro, you could go like the pro tank or whatever, like you're one of the better tanks if you're, you know, tanking 22 pluses. That's where that's kind of the general consensus I'll put. It's nothing official, whatever. It's just kind of how I'm going to talk to you about it. So, but me is when I talk about talent choices, I'm not trying to give you like this is absolutely what you need to do 100%, but to make you think about, and this is what I'm going to be trying to do, to make you think about the talent choices available to you. So sometimes I'm not as comprehensive as I wanted to be, and I'm going to start being a little bit more when I'm talking about synergies and talent choices at different levels of play. So like, for example, if I say, hey, Bone Storm's really good from +5 to 15s, and once you get better and practice with it, it could be really good in 20s. But soon you're going to want to start looking at a talent like Purgatory, or in Raid, there are certain, you know, certain raid encounters that are fairly deadly to tanks. You're going to want to start looking at Purgatory versus Red Thirst, or things like that. Now, of course, we have the new talent trees coming out, so this idea of optimal talent trees, we have this now, where you have literally just one option out of 3 every 5 levels, and there's like 12 talents. That's all we have. We're getting 61 talent points to spend in Dragonflight between 2 very long comprehensive trees. So the talent portion of kind of BiS gearing, which I am including in this, is going to get more complicated, is going to get weirder, is going to continue on that kind of path of, well, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? And maybe because in a +5 it doesn't matter as much and it's better for you, and maybe in a +15 it's better for you to take something different. But that's for you to know and to improve yourself as a player of this game, because there's so much room for improvement, and there always will be as long as there's an infinite scaling system, which I hope remains. I love it. It's good for the game. Having Mythic Plus being infinitely scalable is great for the game. 100% believe that, and I'm not going to change my mind on that because I love Mythic Plus. It's my main content of choice. You follow me around, you know how much I love it. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to be more conscientious than ever when putting out guides and content, and I have attempted to be conscientious of this in the past, and I'm going to try and vocalize it more, and I think that's one thing that I've failed at and can get better at. Because some people are like, well, no, you said this, but I mean, all the top players are playing this. Yeah, but I'm not trying... Like, what, you have 3K rating right now? This guide for you might teach you a thing or two, but is mainly not aimed at you, because guess what? It's made for someone that's picking up the spec for the first time, and is trying to learn it, and is trying to kind of figure out what to do and where to go with it. That's where I'm trying to aim my content at, because guess what? There are more than enough guides out there, of what you need to pick to just play your most optimally. What I'm trying to put out here is playing your most optimally differs at what skill level you are in the game and what content you're trying to run. Because the game has evolved that way. We have infinitely scaling Mythic Plus. We have Mythic Raid, Heroic, Normal Raid. We have PvP that people have gotten so incredibly good at that there's literally these one-shot combos that you enter into an arena or whatever, and you just get clapped. And that's because people have developed strategies and how to optimally use your rotation and your gear to be able to pull off this insane combination and things like that. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody can get there right off the bat. There's stepping stones along the way, and I'm trying to help be the stepping stones, right? If you're looking for a BiS list or a BiS talent guide, and this is what you absolutely need to play, Wowhead has that covered, man. I'm trying to help you understand and help new people understand, as well as I'm moving into more advanced territories as, you know, this channel grows and goes along, because some of the people that watch this channel and support me and have supported me for a long time are definitely in advanced to pro. Absolutely. There's a couple of you who, as I'm talking about this, have been with me for a long time. I want to thank you for all of the support you've given me over, you know, the last year plus. But I want to help make content for you too. And not all of my content has been aimed at you just because, you know, it has to be different. The person picking up a prot warrior for the first time that wants to tank because it's class fantasy, or his friends might have been like, hey man, we're a group of 4 and we'd love for you to come and play the game with us. Man, we'd love to have you around. Come tank and we can be a Mythic Plus group. And that person's never played this game in their life. They're fucking losing their mind learning how to tank. And they see all of this optimal BiS, absolutely, if you play perfectly, this is all the way you should go. But man, he's in his first +5 with his friends and he's nervous to let them down. That information might be wrong. It might be wrong for that person in that content at that time, because the game has evolved into such a way where that's actually possible. And that's good, but we as a community need to recognize that and say, okay, cool. Just because you don't have a blood scale, or just because you don't have a codex or a file or an old warrior soul or whatever it is, doesn't mean that you're dog water and you don't know what you're doing. It could just mean you have bad RNG. It could mean that it might not be the best trinket for you at that time. It could mean that you just got unlucky with weapons or whatever have you not. There's so many things with it. And I think we as a community can do better. And do better with talking about talents and talking about these options to help us grow, to help the community grow. Because like I said, the skill gap is wider than it's ever been before. But I honestly believe that if we keep what I just spoke about in mind, we can start shrinking that. And it's not going to be shrunk by the top end coming down. It's by the more casual base coming up. And that I think we can do. I think we absolutely can do that. And I think I think it's more than possible. But we have to keep these ideas in mind. These are my thoughts on the matter. What do you think? I would love to hear your comments in the section down below. Anybody that knows me knows that I reply to a lot of comments on YouTube. Some say to my detriment, but honestly, most of y'all have been very, very positive. And let's keep it constructive. Let's keep it positive. What are your thoughts on these? I'd love to hear it. But if you're just going to go on a gigantic dumb rant and be insulting, I stop reading those online too. And I just don't respond because I don't need that in my life. But if you want to be constructive, that's how we move the conversation forward. You can differ in opinion and not be a dick about it. But I'd love to hear your opinion. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have yourselves a good day.